The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Kind of two questions. I've got two separate emails. I'm going to kind of tie them together a little bit in the interest of time and space. We don't have that many more videos left in this channel's life. We're heading to the end. So, might as well be efficient with all this stuff. So people have, I made a comment that, hey, we're moving from 2 videos to 1. I don't know. Hopefully we're down to 1 video a day by the time you're listening to this. I don't know. Again, for those of you who you've heard this before, the way this channel works is that a ton of videos are recorded. I batch put them up. I don't know, I'm 40 or 50 videos back at any given time. So it's going to be a slow exit, but we should be close to the exit at this point. There's not too many more topics left. Went away for Japan. I was very mixed about it. It felt good to be away and to actually not check the channel. It's sad to say. So it felt good to give myself a break from comics, but I still love them, and I still love talking to people about them. I don't like all the shenanigans and the bullshit that comes along with it. I wish the comment board was more one I could engage with. I'd like to engage more in conversation, but there's too much performance art there at this point, and I do need to bubble. So you listen to all the videos, and please just in the end, just put all the bullshit to one. When you get like 3-4 comments on each video, that's where it's exhausting. But anyway, whatever. Do what you got to do. We're near the end anyway, so fuck it. Anyway, so 2 mails. I'll read them. Number 1, Alterna Comics is the headline. It says, "Hey Perch, what are your thoughts on Alterna Comics' business model? I like how they can do cheap books. I wonder why they aren't more talked about." And the second mail is, "Hey Perch, I'm curious why more videos don't talk about indie comic companies. There's a lot of comics per your own videos. The indie comic companies are putting out more comics than Marvel and DC if you add them all together. It's technically true. But rarely do you hear anybody talk about them. Unless the comic book features an LGBTQ type hook, it won't ever be discussed, and even in those situations, it will get 1, maybe 2 articles on Bleeding Cool that seem more designed to screw with people as opposed to actually promote the comic." That is 100% right, by the way. Why aren't they more talked about? Okay, so 2 topics, kind of different, but also kind of the same. The simple answer to all this, why aren't indie comics, the smaller groups, why aren't they more talked about? The simple answer is, people care about the big brands, the big IP, the Spider-Mans, the Batmans, the Superman. That is what they care about, and that's reasonable for them to care about that because, they've spent 50 plus years building up these franchises. It'd be weird if they weren't more talked about. That's just what happens. And a lot of indie comic companies, they don't have long runs on things. Or where they do, the long run plays so heavily to the niche that they don't, go anywhere else. Like, Ninja High School, Gold Digger, comics like that, they do have long runs. Spawn and Savage Dragon have long runs. But, people know about Spawn, of course, but Spawn has not gotten that X factor to get it thought of beyond kind of its core audience, which is a shame. I mean, given the talent involved, that's one of the bigger wake-up calls for the industry is you get, a major kind of mega name for the 90s. You get that person owning and controlling comic book they have. You get that person who's able to get a movie going and do some cartoons and get toys on all the rest of that kind of stuff. You get all the right pieces in play, but it doesn't result in, in what is necessary, which is getting the comic to be, a bigger part of pop culture. At the end of the day, Spawn doesn't have the same kind of recognition of a Wolverine and others. And, it should. With the talent involved, it should, but it doesn't. So, what do you do with all that? That's the basic answer for why a lot of indie comics aren't talked about, because they, quite frankly, they're not the big characters. And a lot of indie companies also do very short runs. So even if they have something really great, the creator moves on to something else. Do you remember Nick Spencer's Morning Glories? You might, many of you probably have never heard about it. We probably should do a video on it, but it was a big deal. And it was a comic that, was hailed as kind of one of the best comics around for a long period of time. It is, or not a long, sorry, not a long period of time. Just, it was like, this is one of the best comics that ever been written. Statements like that were coming out. And then it ended on issue 50, kind of in a cliffhanger. There's no signs that Nick Spencer is ever coming back to it. And, it's kind of just done. What happened? This was one of the biggest comics, right? And, it's just over. So that's kind of, the indie comics have that problem where things just kind of end with no warning, and it's like that. So it's over now. We're moving on. I think that situation has to be solved, certainly if you're going to get indie comics talked about. And you've got to give people a kind of longer term reason to get in and kind of enjoy the books. So that's kind of the short answer. The other answer, people have been waiting, I don't know how many minutes I into this video now to address the other part. Alterna is linked to the Comicsgate kind of more right-wing side of comics, and a number of the editors, people, the big two, the people on the left-wing side of comics have basically declared them an enemy, and so that's one reason why they're not talked about. They've successfully been able to kind of prod cons and other things to say oh, these guys are the bad people, and so they don't get talked about there. I think I'm going to give a weird answer and nobody's going to be satisfied with where that's concerned. I have talked to Peter Simeti before. I think he interviewed me at one point. I interviewed him at one point, long time ago. I mean, this is long ago. I think before even this channel was in motion. But anyway, I think that if you dislike Peter's politics, or you dislike the people that Peter talks to, that's your business. You're welcome to. I do think it's wrong. I'm consistent on this, whether you're any of these people, whether you're Peter, whether you're CG, whether you're Marvel, whoever you are. I think you can have that dislike for things and people. You're welcome to it. Again, no one can stop you. But I do think you have to, it should stay with you. I think when you take active steps to go interfere with somebody's business and screw with them, that's not staying with you anymore. You're actively trying to get involved in their business. It's no longer your opinion. It's you're trying to change somebody else. I think that's wrong. But I think people should be able to separate things into two. If you dislike Peter, fine. Again, your business. But I think that the production of comics and the idea of he does stuff on newsprint, his business models, he sells them cheaper. He has a much thinner margin than other companies that are have much wider margin. Basically, he's taking less money from it, and he has different ways of getting things done. I think that should be talked about. Again, even if you despise every single thing he believes in politically and who he talks to and everything else, I think it's stupid for the industry not to discuss some of what he's approaching and doing. Because I think we all hear ad nauseum plenty about this comic is going to have it's going to have a digital play, and it's going to dump all the comics at once, and then we're going to get a Netflix deal. We hear plenty of that. Like the distillery, anyway, that model, we hear over and over and over and over companies presenting that model. And so why can we not talk about the other model? Is simply because we don't like who Peter is. That's bad for the fans and for the industry. Okay, this isn't a big defense of Peter. We should be looking at all ideas in order to make the industry better. Comment. That's what we should do. So I mean, why don't people talk about it? Because of that reason. Because he aligned himself to quote unquote the wrong people. And then on top of that, I think he didn't align himself enough to the wrong people. So the wrong people don't talk about him much either, unless it's convenient for them. So, it fits into something they're doing. So he's in this limbo state where he just doesn't get talked about a lot. But at the very least, I wish his business model was talked about. In general, overall indie comics and the things they try and the things they do just don't get any discussion. I had a decent conversation with a publisher, with some people at Mad Cave about some things they're doing that are smart, that are innovative. And there's a video I know coming up. It's been recorded talking about those things. And I think that's good. There's Zoop is doing some things innovative and different that deserve to be talked about. I mean, there's a lot of ideas out there, and I need to talk about them more. But I'm one dope with a fairly small subscriber count. More people than me need to do it, and that's just we just need more voice out there. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.